13th, 7 p.m. And looks like we have everyone here except Brandon tonight. So we have a quorum. Everybody's except Brandon's here. Let's all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay.
There's no comma that you need to pause.
Okay. Do we have any additions, deletions, or adoptions to the agenda? I do. Do you guys have any? What I'd like to have is in a consent agenda, item number 9B. I'd like to pull that out and place it wherever. I have some questions about that. And so, Karen, where would you like to place that?
If we can put it under new business, item A, and move the conditional zoning application from ODA architecture to item B. Move it.
Make it
Right.
first.
Just do it first.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So it goes to A. All right. No one else has any changes? Can I get a motion to, is everyone okay with this? Can I get a motion to?
Make a
adopt
motion
this?
to adopt agenda as amended.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, it's unanimous. Okay. The conflict of interest statement. In accordance with state law, it is the duty of every council member to avoid conflicts of interest. Does any council member have any known conflict of interest with respect to any matter or matters on the agenda? If so, please identify the conflict and refrain from any participation in the matter involved. Any conflicts?
Nope.
Okay, it's unanimous, no conflicts. Okay, Mayor and council reports. Who wants to go first?
Well, I'll get things started off. Welcome to everybody that's here tonight. Our next Western Union Municipal Alliance meeting is going to be this month. It's going to be January 23rd down in Waxhaw at 4 o'clock. Pretty much this meeting is just going to be us getting not just the updates from the last couple of months at the end of the year, but kind of looking ahead at some subjects we want to discuss. And in that regard, as I had mentioned previously in December, Brian Matthews, our Union County county manager, had not been able to make our November meeting. However, he has rescheduled with us as a group to meet with WUMA on March 27th. And that meeting is scheduled for Marvin. Now, as we did before, and I don't anticipate any issues in doing it, we're going to move that meeting time. Instead of being normally at 4 o'clock, we're going to move that to 7 o'clock so that hopefully any members of the public, citizens that want to come and ask specific questions about, what's going on in the county, if you've got a particular issue that you're interested in, this would be a prime time to do that because he will be there with us. He's going to give a short presentation on kind of the things that the county commissioners are looking at, but also any concerns that we've got. And in addition, as a group, we're also working on getting a meeting like that with our Union County legislative delegation in attendance. And again, we would move that to 7 o'clock for people's attendance if we can do it.
I'm sorry, I missed the date. Do you have a date for?
For Brian Matthews, the county
27th.
manager, is March 27th.
March 27th.
He just got
okay.
back to me this past week. So I know we'll have him on March 27th. And that meeting is scheduled to be in Marvin because we do our meetings on a rotating schedule.
Okay.
But the one for this month, Thursday, January 23rd in Waxhaw, and we are going to start that one at our normal start time of 4 o'clock.
Gotcha.
And
Cool.
that's all I've got.
Okay.
I don't have any this month.
Now this one, Tom?
I don't have anything new other than I'm waiting on the DOT paving report for our secondary streets that they said they would have early in the year and the updated future paving list. So we're waiting on information. They said early in the year. We're still early in the year, so we don't have it yet. But when I do, I will pass it on.
Okay. All right. I have nothing at this point. I have some comments later on, but nothing here. Public comments. Now, this is public comments, not public hearings, so public comments. Okay, thank you, Debbie. Okay. For public comments, Nancy Anderson, come on up.
That time of the year, runny nose and congestion. My name is Nancy Anderson. I'm speaking as a member of the planning board, but not on behalf of the planning board. So this is just me. Recently, as you know, we added public comments to the planning board meetings. At first, I was kind of skeptical about that, but I found it to be very helpful. We always want to invite public engagement. The earlier, the better. And we've gotten some really good comments, things that we may not have thought about. And I just would like to affirm that I think that that was a good move. We do have some regular people who come, and one of them is Chad Emmerich. You can always count on him his comments will always be well-researched and well-presented, respectfully submitted. However, not everyone adheres to that style. Sometimes we get a lot of loud, disruptive comments, interrupting the speakers, being disrespectful to the speakers. And so I guess what I'm standing here asking is that perhaps the planning board and the town council can have and work together to have an enforceable policy about how public comments should be presented and how we should treat each other as we're talking.
Right. No, thank you. In fact, that's what I'm going to do tonight before we get to that point. So thank you. Chad. There you go.
Good evening, Chad Emerine. I live in Arrow Plantation, and I had two things to mention in public comments. One, I would just like to ask the council to consider, as you've been making changes to the land use plan and the ordinances, of two other things that I noticed that the town of Davidson does in their zoning process. One is a required environmental inventory. I know we're doing a lot of work on tree save and tree ordinances, but this adds a little extra layer to that, not just tree canopy, and helps understand fully of what the development is being proposed. This ties into protecting environmentally sensitive lands. The second is when a formal application review happens before it goes before the planning board. In Davidson, they review the application, notify the developer in writing of any missing items. The applicant has 30 days upon notification to correct those deficiencies. If they fail to do so, then the application is considered abandoned. I think this puts onus of making sure that as we get applications, there's a lot of development that's been proposed. We have limited staff that way developers should make sure they have all their ducks in a row per se before it becomes to the planning board. The second request I have is that if the town focuses on updating the UDO in the parts and determining environmentally sensitive areas. It's in our land use plan, and we haven't really updated that anything detailed in the UDO part of it. As a resident of Arrow Plantation, we consider our lakes one of the most environmentally sensitive areas in Weddington. It's a wildlife sanctuary with diverse wildlife, including protected bald eagles, herons, otters, osprey, more. It has high hazard dams, and this water is not just a couple man-made ponds. It's part of the Mundy's Run Basin that feeds into 12 Mile Creek and down to the Catawba River. It's been something we feel is important that we need to update in our ordinances. And we appreciate all the work that you and staff and planning board have done as far as updating our land use plan, UDO, and our policies.
Great. Thank you, Chad. Appreciate it. Don.
Yes, my name is Don Cuthbertson. I live in Steeplechase. My question is probably going to be a little different from the previous two, but this traffic business, I turn down Lenny Stadler Way, go to my house. When I leave and I turn off of Lenny Stadler onto Providence, there's more people running the red lights at 50, 60 miles an hour And this is just continuing to get worse and worse. I drive 40 miles an hour out here on Providence Road, and I'm passed daily with people running 60, 70 miles an hour. Someone's going to get hurt out here. And I see the troopers out here, you know, occasionally. I know they're doing the best they can, but that is a dangerous intersection, very dangerous. And I hope that something on the planning board is in the works to make this 2-mile stretch a little safer for the citizens of Weddington. Thank you.
Great, thank you. And Deputy Wren, you can address that too when you get to it. Is it Sunit?
Yes.
Come on up.
Hello, good evening. My name is Sunil Kurman. I live in the Harlows community here. I had a follow-up to ask on the Harlows MI homes, but it seems like you made a comment that that's been reserved, so I'm going to maybe reserve that, but use the opportunity to ask one more question. We have seen through our community a lot of utility providers that are coming in and installing new cable work for the for broadband. But at least in our community, we have no way to reach out who if there was a damage to the property. I was wondering if there are ways for us to kind of find the information on the Weddington website or any other guidance that might be helpful for us to follow up, or maybe an escalation path. That's all. Thank you.
Okay. See me afterwards. Okay. Christine?
Hello, everybody. I hope you all had a great holiday. I'm only here to talk about the Perry South.
Can you state your name?
Christine from Bromley, Christine Drost.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. There's a proposal to expand a 2-building mixed-use commercial office expansion. I just read an article very recently. The Charlotte area has a 25% office vacancy. Why are we building more office space right across the street? It makes no sense. Also, the gentleman talking about the traffic, it's a nightmare here, traffic. Like you said, you go 35, 40 miles an hour, and people are passing you at 70. And again, the police do a great job, but they're stretched very, very thin. So I don't understand why we're expanding office space when it is not needed. If someone can come up with a reasonably intelligent reason why this is a great idea, I'd be open to hearing it. But right now, why? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, this closes our public comment section. On to public safety report. Deputy Wren, come on up.
Mayor, council, as always, I like to say it's a pleasure, but sometimes we get what we deserve. Thank you so much, not only for having me, but for continuously giving me the thanks and praise. Typically, I like to give you a little bit of tips and trades, but I would like to be able to release a little bit more information. I typically wait for the next month, but I think tonight's a pretty good night for me to release a little bit more. So looking from November, we looked at our 911 hangups, but because we had so many new iPhones and things of that nature, they did go up a little bit from 43 to 51. Accidents decreased from 32 to 26. When I say accidents, I include wrecks with serious injury. So they went from 32 to 26. That includes anything from mom and dad's deer that they just got done hitting all the way to a serious injury to include a fatality. Alarms also went up, but we think that had a little bit to do a lot with summertime, slowing down, coming back from vacation and things of that nature. We went from 42 to 55. So burglary to a home or a business to include a residential and to a commercial building went from 3 to 2. We did have 1 burglary to a vehicle on the entire month. Business checks went from 8 to 38. Commercial times, businesses, holidays, we need to get out there and be checking them a little bit more. So we increased those a pretty good bit. Preventive patrol, just like I've been saying, we've had a couple deputies going to court. It's the end of the year, so we've really had to kind of close out a bunch of cases. Went from 714 to 573. Our call volume went up as far as proactivity compared to if we have a little bit of time hitting your neighborhoods. Traffic stops did take a little bit of a difference. We went from 49 to 110. So those were the numbers from November into December. So November was 1163 to now 1120. So a little bit of a difference. So working with Councilman Perryman, he was able to kind of give me a little bit of times when he really wanted us out here for special coalitions. We call it just a traffic enforcement. I like to call it a saturation. We want to saturate whatever area that we can to do the most good as fast as possible for a rapid traffic enforcement. We've heard a lot about the intersection you spoke of earlier, sir, and it was because of your transparency letting us know when and where and how. So we're the foot soldiers, but without good intel, we can only do so much. On January 8th, 2025, we wrote 49 citations, 50 traffic stops, 10 written warnings. So that includes 2 no operator's license, 7 vehicle registrations, 2 insurance violations, 1 forged tag that was towed, 37 speeding tickets. So that is only going to include a few hours. We're starting early morning around 8 and going all the way to maybe 2:30. The reason that we pick those hours is because that's what we've heard most from the public. That's when they wanted us on certain sections of Providence Road. That's when they wanted us in off of Newtown. Newtown was a big priority in the last couple of months because of traffic flowing from South Carolina. If you've noticed or if you downloaded our app, a lot of our forged or fake tags. So we're really pushing that coalition. We're only one county of several counties out of 100 that is pushing this. So thank you so much for the information, but I need a little bit more. What times, when, and where do you want us? When I set up my next traffic saturation, we want to be looking at where can we do the most good as fast and as rapidly as possible. That last saturation that we just put on was only a couple hours, and we stopped 50 plus cars. Now, that was not a change of patterns. That was just us hitting it. We had 8 plus deputies to include Highway Patrol. The Highway Patrol has done a fantastic job getting back to me rapidly, getting us some troopers within the area. If you've noticed, we've had a couple different vehicles in the area. So if you've noticed, we've had unmarked cars now at night a little bit heavier. So we've noticed different patterns for different things. So we're now trying to start recovering a little bit more narcotics, firearms, and let's just say higher crime activity in the hours. So with that, we're creating patterns of crime and patterns of life of activity. So if you're seeing an unmarked car and you're not recognizing it, please call it in if you don't recognize it. If you're seeing a car with blue lights and you're like, that might not be a police car, go to a well-lit area, get on Nextdoor app and let them know what's going on. It may or may not be us, but please give us the opportunity. With these traffic coalitions, that what we're trying to do is focus and change patterns of activities. So we're setting up all the way from Waverly at the bottom of the bridge, whenever they're creating that momentum, all the way to Bonds Grove Church. Anything I can do within our zone of the municipality of Weddington, I'm going to continue to do. If that's flooding the area with a bunch of blue lights, making this place McAdenville for a couple hours, that's what I'm going to do. If it's a $267 ticket to a $416 ticket, we want to do what we can to help. Now, we don't want to hinder and just write a bunch of tickets. We want to cause an effect. We want to create that cause and effect. So just let us know what areas. If you also know, Ms. Karen's done a fantastic job getting hold of landscaping crews, trimming the bushes in the middle of the medians. That way we can see a little bit more. A lot of times we become the enemy and we say, I thought this was a 45 zone. It is once you pass the sign. So that 35 little stretch right there, that's not an entrapment. It's not a suggestion. We've been enforcing it. There's 50 plus cars that we stopped right there on Providence on January 8th. I typically would brief that afterwards, but we've gotten a lot of good intel saying that you want more. I have no problem giving you more. I figured tonight would be a good night to brief it. We were able to get it 8 plus deputies out there, marked, unmarked cars, things of that nature. Anything from a big, beautiful Tahoe to a really small Taurus. So we don't want any patterns to let people know who we are, where we're coming from. We're not out here to surprise anybody. We're just out here to enforce what you need us to. So once again, thank you so much. If you can think of anything else, please let us know. We're open books, full transparency. If you want us in a neighborhood, Speed Trailer, we've had a lot of good success with it. We've created some patterns. We've got some really good times and things of that nature. So Providence is a fish in a barrel type deal. But if you know of any other streets or anything of that nature, if you want the radar trailer out there to help, we're happy to be able to provide that service.
Thank you for what you do. And I encourage you guys to continue to do this. And, because we definitely need it. I've been in touch with Lieutenant May and Deputy Chief Underwood
Yes, sir.
on some other things that we'll talk about, some other point. But our 2 new deputies are in training now, or will be coming out of training and will be here, I say boots on the ground, by March, if not before.
Absolutely.
So just,
Yes,
just
sir.
to let council and staff know. So it's in the works. But Lieutenant May and others have been filling in those gaps until they are training or here. And
Correct.
of
Yeah.
course, you know this already.
Yeah. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but yeah, we have our entire chain of command out here. I mean, we have a lieutenant in a spare car. I mean, out here stopping cars. I mean, he sees the complaints and he's not out telling me what to do. He's filling the void and he's putting himself in a spare car. I mean, that's the type of leadership that I have. And I'm not just saying it because they saw my paycheck, but I'm saying it because you deserve the best. You're paying your taxes for a reason. And so we don't want to become the niche. We want to become that area of pocket where you feel safe. But like I said, give us the intel that we need. When do you want us out there? How do you want us out there? Anything we can do to kind of help out. Like I said, Lieutenant May's in a spare car. He's coming out here helping out. Chief Underwood called a wreck the other day. I mean, when you have your deputy chief doing things of that nature, it speaks volumes. So,
Thank you. Thank you what you guys are doing.
oh no, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The consent agenda, item number 9. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented? And this would be the minutes from last month, December's minutes.
So moved.
Okay.
Aye. All in favor?
All in favor? Thank you. My mind went blank. Okay. That was unanimous. Moving on to new business. Well, and the new business item A is the release of Phase 1 Map 2 bond for Harlow's Crossing subdivision in the amount of $333,387.50. And there's some questions brought up about that, and some easement issues. And I want to ask too, are there any other issues that we don't know about that would prohibit us from releasing the bond from the residents or from citizens that have voiced complaints or whatnot? So Greg, can I get you to comment?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. So this is for the release of Phase 1 Map 2. Essentially, the naming nomenclature is based on the filing of the final plats. This was done in 3 distinct phases, and then it's a little different than that in the way that it was filed with the Union County Register of Deeds at the build out. This amount is for this Map 2 portion. This has been well completed. Frankly, it came to our attention from the builder because it was the end of the calendar year, end of the fiscal year, and they just wanted their money back by December 31st. Obviously, we cannot do that without council action, but this was the next closest meeting. In regards to easement issues, I did receive an email, as did the council, regarding some fence encroachment by private property owners. The town of Weddington does not permit fences, so it's not a permit violation to place that there. It's not something that they violated from a town ordinance standpoint. Also, fences are allowed to be in this conservation area if done as part of the common areas, it's the HOA. So in other words, they're encroaching into the HOA's property, but the HOA can frankly remove the fence or take action against those individual property owners. Enforcement actions can and should be taken by the homeowners association rather than it being a town regulation.
Should we notify the HOA that this is happening, just so for the record that they know this is going on?
Yes, there's been one specific complaint that our office has received, and we can verify that it is over their property line and that is into the common open space. That can be problematic for several reasons. You're taking away not public, but common areas for everyone that's meant for the enjoyment of everyone. You're privatizing it.
Right.
So we definitely want to discourage that. And again, the town has verified that complaint. So yes, we're happy to further that up.
Can this happen in the next few weeks or
Oh, yeah,
SAP?
yeah.
Okay.
And then you asked about other actions. or concerns. Compared to other builders and other developments that have been under construction, this has been pretty quiet since March of last year. Again, some of these items and funds requested, these inspections were done long ago and even prior to my employment here. So there has not been as many citizen complaints as other communities, particularly ones that are in active construction now.
Okay, council, comments?
No, I just think regarding the fence encroachment, because, I know that's the email I had come to discuss with you this morning. As far as having a bearing on whether the town can legally release that bond or not, it's my understanding that no, that is not a cause for us to deny the release of the bond. As you explained to me earlier and have done just so now, that encroachment is an HOA issue that they need to enforce and take the action on. But we can't, as a council, use that as well, we're not going to release your bond because you've got an encroachment on with a fence.
I would not advise that because the fence and even the common area is not under the jurisdiction of the bond. The bond is for infrastructure
That's
purposes.
the way I understood.
The only question I have, you mentioned, you look at here, that the inspections were done quite a while ago. Are we sure that there's not been damage or any issues that have occurred since the inspection, being they are not, I'd call, current? That would be my only question.
And those are extremely valid concerns. We've had things pop up recently where we want to ensure that the work is done and done correctly before we release any public funds. That's just good taxpayer stewardship. In this case, even routine inspections or scheduled things with me or Labella, that has not occurred in the present time. That this was done prior. Again, the request to be released is because of the end of the year, not because there's work that has just been recently completed.
Well, I would think that we would do one cursory final, at least drive-by,
Mhm.
to make sure there's not curb damage, potholes, or anything there before we release.
Yes, and so the town does do walkthroughs for curbing and road infrastructure. We'll go out with DOT. DOT ultimately takes over these roads and curbs, and so when that occurs for a typical subdivision, myself, a representative from Labella Engineering, and the DOT inspector who ultimately signs off on it, we do a walkthrough house by house to mark cracks or things like that, check the pavement grade. Labella did have a call with them at the beginning of this process when the request was made. It was a pretty lengthy question and answer session to check on things, and then they do have inspectors that go out every 2 weeks. So as far as I know, Labella has cleared this, therefore, we're also
Do
comfortable
we
with that.
know they went out there in the last few weeks is my question, not
Right.
6 months ago.
I cannot verify a date at the top of my head.
Because I don't
That's
see anything in our information where it states that.
I forgot when the latest letter in here was. I can't read it up.
The latest letter was February 15th of 23.
Yeah, I mean, these things are old.
Well, can
Yeah.
we make that a condition to the release of the bond? I mean, that would be a simple way to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
to
I
do
think
it,
we
as
have
long
to have
as-
yes.
One final, inspection with probably just you and Labella is probably going to be enough. The state's probably already covered.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, if y'all could do a quick run through over there just to make sure there's not something we're missing.
Right,
Because if we miss it now, we're never going to get it.
And
And we'll hear from a neighbor.
right. No, and you're right. And also my question is, has the pond been put on the list for annual town inspections or Labella inspections?
I believe it is.
Can we make sure of that too? Because that was in the, one of the letters we got either from DOT or from Labella suggesting that happen. I think it was, oh goodness. Yeah, I'm sorry, you said it?
The February 15th letter.
Yeah, that was from Labella suggesting, that was their suggestion to us to make sure that's happening. So can I get a motion for, placing condition on this before the bond's
I
released.
would make a motion that we approve the release of the bond on the condition, one, that the town planner and Labella make one final inspection to ensure compliance and to also ensure that the pond inspection language has been included,
Okay,
basically with
It's on
those
the
two.
list or whatever.
Yes.
Annual list.
Yeah.
okay, good with that?
Yeah.
All in favor?
Uh,
Okay, it's unanimous. And so that would happen, you guys would do the inspection with Labella before that release is done. And
Understood.
can you let us know when
yeah,
that
just
happens?
shoot us an email when it's done.
Right.
Yes, we'll get that documented in writing.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, all right, let's move on to item B. And this is for the application of ODA Architecture on behalf of Kalifka International requesting conditional zoning approval for the development of a 2-building office expansion located at 13700 Providence Road. Mr. Overcash, if you'd like to come on up.
I'm Stephen Overcash with ODA Architecture, representing the Kalifka International at 13700 Providence Road. Brought with me one of the Kalifkas, Basil Kalifka, just to give a very short description of what we're trying to do and be available for questions. Also brought a civil engineer if there's any questions about the retention pond. She's here to answer questions, so we'll let Basil.
Okay.
Lead off, and then I'll present.
Okay, thank you. Cool.
Yes, thank you. Yeah. Thanks,
Welcome.
guys. Thank you. My name is Basil Plifka. I'm representing the family that owns the property there. Just want to make some brief comments. Thanks for having this meeting, and we appreciate the town of Weddington. It's been a really great place to be for 10 years since our office has been here. It's been built. We really enjoy our neighbors, and we love the church next to us. We love hearing the bells, and throughout the day. Yes. And this property, this expansion of our office was partly the impetus behind it. Partly was our company. We have a new company that we started. We're looking for more office space, so we intend to take up a portion of that for our company ITD that I work for, and also comments. Sorry. Forgive me. Like Moses said, I don't have an Aaron to speak for me, so forgive me. Yes, I just want to mention that new company has 35 employees. We already have, it's an industrial company already operating. And just to note too, there's been a few questions before about whether the property is being sold. I've spoke with the true property owners, and there's no intention to sell the property. I just wanted to clarify that for everyone. But
Okay.
anything else? Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thanks, Basil. I'll give a brief description of the project. Everybody's familiar with where it is up on the hill. It was assigned sometime or other an MX zoning. We've been working on this, I think, for 16 months now to get this approved. Somewhere along the line, it was assigned an MX zone, which if you look in the zoning ordinance, we have far exceeded all of the restrictions for that. It allows a whole assortment of different types of activities, such as daycares and restaurants and convenience stores, et cetera. We're not looking for any of that. We want to do two 9,000 square foot, 2-story buildings, complementary Georgian architecture to the original building. And we only are asking for general office or potentially medical office. As Basil said, they'll be taking a portion. There's nobody else that we lease to, no retail, general office or medical office. We've spent the last 16 months with community meetings. We've been amazed at what a good turnout was. Everybody showed up and was given great ideas. The mayor has some great ideas on how to position the buildings, make the development better. We listened to everybody's ideas, and we came back adhering to all the ideas. We went through the planning board meeting and got approved through that. Everything that was asked, everything, not one thing that we were asked to do, did we not do. We didn't push back on anything. We got all the consultants, civil engineers, landscape architects, people to design the septic system. Everything that was asked, every last T, we incorporated. And that was the direction from Basil, give them what they want. And that's what we've done. And so we got the planning board approval a few months ago. And the two buildings got, I guess if people want to see them, you can flash them up, but they're very complimentary to the Georgian style. We've had good compliments. That's the general layout. We exceed the open space requirements. We're well under the FAR that's allowed for that site. We meet all the parking, all the landscaping, lighting, everything that you guys outlined in your zoning ordinance whenever you wrote it years ago. We have adhered to and exceeded it. We're not even close to meeting any of the requirements. We're well beyond that. Exterior elevations, everybody's familiar with the building. We've received, that's existing, we've received compliments over the years for that. We've been told by property next to us that we've been good neighbors. And can you go to the elevations? Just so, oh, we don't have those. Okay, very good. So that's basically the layout. I think everybody, we submitted exactly what we're doing. Heights, everything exceed or meet or exceed the zoning ordinance. That's it.
Okay.
I'm here for questions.
Okay. We're going to open up now for public hearing. That'd be the comment section. And so before we do that, I want to read a few guidelines for our public hearing, just for the record. Public comments are limited to 4 minutes, but this being public hearing is limited to 3 minutes only. Comments will be directed to the entire board and not to individuals, nor the public attending the meeting. A designated spokesman, just for the record for the future, spokesman for a group of 3 or more may be allocated 6 minutes to speak, but at least 3 of those members of the group must be present, and names and addresses of those members present must be submitted to the town clerk before the meeting begins. Other than pursuant to this rule, you may not give or donate any of your time to the next speaker. If you don't use your time, then that's it. You must be civil in your language and presentation and act with reasonable standards of courtesy. Use of slander, name calling, personal attacks, or threatening speech or behavior is prohibited. The audience must maintain an order of decorum in their conduct, refrain from disruptive applause, comments, or disorderly speaking during the meeting. No disturbances will be permitted. Failure to abide by these rules after receiving notice from the mayor or majority of the council will result in your comment period being ended or removed from the meeting. So I just want to state that for the record. Also, please don't hold up any, signs up, do this kind of thing. Not only holds for this meeting, for any other meetings that we have down the road. I don't mind if you hold it like this, do something like this, but don't be doing this kind of thing, okay? And don't be booing back and forth at each other. So we can keep this civil. Okay, so we're going to open up public hearing, and the first on the list is Nancy Anderson. Come on up.
Good evening, council. My name is Nancy Anderson from the Hunter Farm. I'm here speaking as a private citizen, not as a member of the planning board. We share a property line with Ferry South, and they have been good neighbors over the last 10 years. I just want to quickly address some of the comments that I've heard over the last 16 months, public comments. We've had a lot of public involvement meetings, a lot of good input, but some of them things I think need to be addressed. I've heard a couple of people say, we don't need it, we don't want it. I hope that you will translate that to meaning, I don't need it, I don't want it, because they cannot speak for the whole town. They can only speak for themselves. Traffic is always an issue. Province Road is always going to be a problem. But this is, what they're proposing are buildings and businesses that are by appointments. It's not like a school or a church where everyone comes at once and everyone leaves at once. So it's gradually over the daytime during business hours. It's not during high peak traffic times. It's outside the downtown overlay, correct? Technically, it is. The downtown overlay is on this side of Province Road, but it is located directly across from the downtown overlay. And there's some people who seem a little afraid that this is going to expand into a huge commercial area. I'll just remind you that this parcel is bordered by conservation land and a historical church. The boundary is not going to get any bigger. It can't. So I hope you're not concerned about that. Also, people have brought up legitimately, as has the planning board, the septic and the stormwater runoff. I would just say leave this to the subject matter experts who do this for a living. We have the regulatory agencies who can approve and monitor this. That's not something that we do here at the town. And I would just like to add, in the past 10 years, we have never had a problem. I mean, the Hunter Farm, which is downstream from them or downhill from them, has never had a problem. There was one problem during construction, which they immediately resolved for us. So the lighting in the landscape, you do have jurisdiction over that. And I'm sure that you guys will be very diligent about it and working with the developer and the property owner. So, and you can ask me what I think about it too. But in conclusion, I would just like to say that the Hunter Farm has no objections to this property as is proposed.
Great. Thank you, Nancy. Gail Butler?
I'm Gail Butler, and I live in Wellington Place in Weddington, North Carolina. I just want to address some of the things that Nancy brought up, and because we do have different views. The view is that, yes, it is outside the town overlay. That's important. Number two, you guys ran telling us that you would not develop outside the the overlay. That's important. As far as the need or the want, it's not a matter of need or want. It's a matter of necessity. And the matter of necessity is we don't need any more doctor's offices because Atrium and Novant are the big players and they flank us on both sides. We've got an emergency room from Atrium right down the street, and they're going to build 40,000 square feet of medical building. There is empty space in Waverly, opened, unused. I am in fear that that's what will happen to those buildings. And that is a concern. It has nothing to do personally or how I feel, but it has to do with what is necessity and what it's not a matter of what I want. It's what we need as a town. And the traffic on Providence Road is awful. It's two lefts out. And it's not a matter of if somebody gets hit walking across that street from that property, but it will be when somebody crosses that street because we know what happens on Independence Boulevard. Traffic goes fast, and that is just not a good area to put a business that is going to have people that would perhaps want to come out and travel and eat across the street or shop across the street. It's not, it's just not friendly for that. And I don't want to see anybody get hurt. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Gail. Walt?
I'm Walton Hogan, and I'm a resident of Weddington for the past 23 years or something. My concern about this whole development across the street are the couple of things that I'm very concerned about, and that is, number one, human beings in their own vehicles trying to get from this area over to that area. It's going to happen, hopefully not soon, but it is going to happen, that there's going to be somebody that's coming around the corner here, going down there, going this way, going that way, that's going to hit somebody trying to get out of that. And there will be people killed, damaged, whatever. It's part of the structure of the town that side over there was supposed to be a farm. It was supposed to be stuff that was not going to have a lot of vehicles coming in and off of the area over there. That can easily change now that we're going to potentially allow those two buildings to be built, and they're pretty and all that kind of stuff. But the problem is getting in and out of that area. And we also know that in 3 to 5 years, people will be tired of it. And so they're going to sell their piece of it, and somebody else will be there. And then we'll have lawyers potentially, or somebody else in there, maybe people that, bake cookies and stuff like that. There's nothing that says it's always going to be what they're saying it is right now. I'm concerned about that, and I've explained that. And I also wanted to remind everybody on the council that remember that commercial development and commercial property people are interested in one thing. That's purchasing a piece of land, purchasing a building, putting something there and leaving. Okay? Leaving's the part that I'm very concerned about. Thank you very much.
Thank you all. Stephen? Is it Stephen Bellfish? Can't read the last name. Stephen? No one? Okay, let's move on to Chad. We'll come back to Stephen and see if he's here. Chad, come on.
Good evening, Chad Emerine. I provided a packet to each of the town council members, and I'm asking you to deny this application for multiple reasons. First is the land use plan. Land use goal 3 says the downtown overlay district is the primary commercial center of the town. This is not in the overlay, as it's been mentioned before. Second, it should serve Weddington residents and be pedestrian oriented. I think it's already been commented on that it's not pedestrian friendly. If we put anything over there on that side of Providence Road, there's no way to make it pedestrian friendly. And that side is more accessible to the cut through traffic of Waxhaw residents and everyone else than it is for Weddington residents. As a resident, it would be a difficult time crossing multiple lanes to get over here to the light to turn back into Weddington. Most residents, as it's been said, have medical already close to them. The next concern is the property was listed for sale and had multiple inquiries to the town in regards to options for development. I understand it's no longer for sale, but this was the controversial zoning back then, and it was for only one building. What has really changed? The public sentiment hasn't. Once it approved, it's much harder to say no to any new request to change the rules, like Walt said, of whether you want to have a different purpose for it, knowing that they would potentially have to go through the process. But it's harder to say no if the owner says they can't lease it under the current approved uses. And then, to quote the previous town planner, who required to a reply on an inquiry from an investment group on the proposed new buildings, Robert Teft, he quoted and said, "Our current land use plan does not allow for non-residential development outside of the downtown overlay. This parcel is outside it. And a current ongoing update of the land use plan, which we've recently updated, has found that the public sentiment has not changed and continue to preclude such development." He also said, and I quote, "I do not believe there is much likelihood of receiving any support for the project from the public or myself, given the land use plan." Lastly, there are a few items that it doesn't appear to me that are present in there that comply with or that are required in our UDO. There is a septic plan, but I don't see Union County septic approval or an EOP letter of intent. The plan looks like it's 3 years old when the buildings were proposed to turn the other way. An aerial photograph with site boundaries so council can see the vegetation, trees, and potential impact. Written architectural standards. We have a sketch, a view shed analysis to see the potential impact of 2 more buildings. And last, require buffers showing the setback from the stormwater pond. And based off of that, of the land use plan, uncertainties of future use, and the UDO issues, we request that you deny the application.
Great. Thank you, Chad. Basil? You had signed it, so you're good? Okay. Now we'll come back one more time. It's Stephen, is it Belfitch or Belcheth or something like that? So, nope. Okay. Then we'll move on. Public hearing is closed at this time. Now we're open for the council to discuss and make a recommendation. And you guys are welcome to come back up to the mic for any questions or whatever, but I'll open up to comments, discussion.
I would
here.
like to hear from Greg about all the issues on this before we get into further discussion.
Okay.
On what it complies with, if there's any issues that it doesn't comply with, or things that you see we should be concerned about.
Yeah, I can speak to code deficiencies and concerns. So in regards to the previous planning board meeting with this project, there was one building that was proposed to be 40 feet tall, but it was within 50 feet of a residentially zoned area. So at that time, at the time of application, that was not compliant with our code. In other words, it was too tall of a building, too close to a residentially zoned area. This was noted in our staff report and as a condition of approval by the planning board to lower that height. And the applicant agreed to do so and revised the site plan to show that the building heights are now 35 feet rather than 40 feet. This reduced the pitch of the roof, but not the number of stories or anything like that. That was the only true code deficiency. So once that modification was made, all of the UDO requirements were met. As far as concerns, previous concerns were, detailing the parking, detailing the septic, and detailing some of the landscaping. That was noted at the time of application as well, and the applicant revised their plans or submittal at the time of the planning board vote to reflect those items to show more detail. We generally ask for more detail on it because it's a mixed-use project, and things like aesthetics can be governed by the town of Weddington. So we can ask for more detail on those. Just the last concern that was noted in the staff report is, as folks are right, this is not pedestrian friendly. This is not designed to have people walk from these proposed structures across the street or to cross Providence. And in fact, that's why there's concrete medians on Providence to discourage cut through traffic, discourage left turns, and to ensure safety. They were required to do a traffic study for this project. That was completed by the applicant. That was the primary reason for such a long delay from application to now. And because Providence was modified fairly recently to accommodate some future growth, one, it didn't require any additional upgrades by the applicant to Providence. And two, just the land use type medical office is less intense and has less traffic than large subdivisions, anything that sells goods. And it's not, it's by appointment. So doesn't trigger a higher standard as far as a traffic study that true commercial project would.
One question I have, looking at the drawings or whatnot, it doesn't appear to me to be pedestrian friendly inside the development from building to building. I didn't see where there's sidewalks or whatever to go from one building to another in any way. Am I correct in that? Because I didn't see it on what I saw.
There's, I think they're tan in the exhibits. There's a sheet CZ004 that shows the elevations of the property, as well as this, another site plan in color. Sidewalks are shown in like a tan color, and they do connect in the front door of the building and around the building in the form of plazas. And there'd be a large plaza in front of the existing structure, but there's no loop or continuous network of sidewalks or trails or anything of that sort.
Didn't you state in your information you gave to us that pedestrian access is not safe as proposed? That was your words?
I've got my report in front of me. I can search for that, but that sounds accurate.
Yes, under your land use section, policy T 1.3, which we encourage to designate and for construction for safety. It speaks about safety, and your words were it was not safe as proposed. So just to bring that back, let me ask you this too. You mentioned as far as other problems, you mentioned the roof line being dropped from 40 to 35. You also stated that there's a 50-foot buffer around. The building on the left side is inside the 50-foot buffer. It's at 35 feet, correct?
Right. The building is closer to 50. I think it's 38.
So it's inside the buffer.
Yeah, the buffer is the structure and the property line. Correct.
Yeah. So the building sits inside the buffer, which nothing should sit inside that buffer zone. We should have a 50-foot buffer, correct?
Well, the buffer is between. The buffer is to lower the height if it falls within that 50 feet. So by being closer to 50 feet, it's still in compliance. It just has to be lower in height.
It's not the kind of buffer that you have along thoroughfare or along outside property. It's just really for the height of the building, 50 feet from a residentially zoned parcel.
It's sort of not my understanding. When you have a buffer around an outside, whether it be in front, we just enacted a 100-foot buffer, that we're going to wider buffers, not smaller buffers. And we have a 50-foot buffer around the building, then the building should not sit inside the 50-foot buffer.
I think,
Am I
if I
incorrect
understand
here?
it correctly, the buffer does not regulate whether it can be built into, it regulates the height based on the property that's adjacent to it.
It's a setback matter rather than some kind of vegetative buffer that we encourage and promote.
Right.
near
It's
the
a
street.
setback.
Right.
So we're inside the setback.
The setback is 25 feet in the MX zone, but if it's within 50 feet, it has to be lower in height.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Going back in the history of this building, if I remember, this was approved in 2012, and the applicant originally applied for 3 buildings. And they approved the one building that exists and did not approve the other 2. Am I correct on that?
Only one building was approved.
Yes.
Correct.
The property is outside the commercial overlay, correct?
Correct.
We have had at least 2 land use plan updates since this property was developed. I would have thought that if the town wanted the commercial district overlay to be expanded, it's had 2 opportunities to do so. And I think the property owner has had 2 opportunities to request that it be inside the commercial overlay. And we have not expanded the commercial overlay
Yeah, it's the overlays.
for at least 2 different times.
The overlay's name is the downtown overlay.
Downtown commercial overlay.
So it's not necessarily speaking to the future land use map, which designates lower density residential, higher density residential, business, or agriculture. In the future land use map, it's stated that this area should be business. Now, to be fair, it stated it to be business because it's currently operating as a
It's
business.
business.
But I agree with Tom, you know, if, it's been crickets, you know, and,
Well, you know, I was here when
Mhm.
this thing came up
You on
initially,
the planning board?
2012. I was on the planning board then. And anybody who was around knows what was over there. It was zone residential, and it was an abandoned ranch-style house that had busted-out windows,
Right.
weeds as high as your
It
chest,
was a
dead
nuisance.
trees. It was a complete eyesore. And as much as everybody says, we don't want commercial, you know, my God, that is the hill this town is willing to die on. We don't want any expansion of commercial in town. That particular piece of property was functionally obsolete for some family to go in there and build a home right there on Providence Road, you know, to have it as a residential lot. So yes, the Polificas came, they made this proposal, and we have had 10 years worth of evidence about how things have gone. And I can assure you, it's almost like deja vu. Everything that's being brought up now, and Nancy, you can probably affirm this, about the traffic, about the safety, we don't need more office space, was said 10 years ago. And all of the, in my opinion, doom and gloom and, you know, terrible, terrible things have not happened. Now, yes, that piece of property sits outside of this downtown overlay, but it is zoned MX. They are allowed to have a commercial operation there. That's what the whole purpose was of allowing it at the time, and I believe allowing it right now. You know, I do not understand why the addition of 2 smaller office buildings across the street from the only shopping center in town is this controversial. I honestly don't. I mean, when you talk about some of the things I've heard about the sprawl, we want to prevent commercial sprawl. This town, because I did some numbers, our town is about 16 square miles in size. The 10,000 square feet footprint of those 2 buildings, if you run the numbers, comes out to about 0.07% of the total area of this town. And some of the hyperbole that's been used in this discussion, I think, is just, it boggles me. But anyway, I'm a firm believer that if you own a piece of property, you should be able to make your request and do with it what you're allowed to do. What you're allowed to do. That is already zoned commercial. They can do this. They've been doing it for 10 years. We have this, you know, the same concerns about the traffic turning in and out, the pedestrians were discussed 10 years ago as the big issues. And again, we've had 10 years of none of that coming to fruition. It's been a great building. The Polificas have had a good business over there. And yes, they want to put 2 more buildings over there. And as I understand it, Greg, if it's written in there that it can only be used for office and medical, that's it, period. If they want to use it for something else, then they're going to have to come back and ask permission to do that. They're going to have to go through the whole process again. And as far as them selling it, it's their property. If they want to keep it for the next 50 years, that's up to them. If they want to sell it next month, that's up to them. We as a town shouldn't be telling somebody else, in my opinion, how they should be running their stuff. You wouldn't want anybody else telling you to do that. You know, if you want to put a pool in your backyard and they go, you've already got a pool in the neighborhood. We don't need another pool here. You know, the stuff I've read and been exposed to on this, just, again, it's just, I'm having the same playback from 10 years ago. And I don't understand what is so controversial about letting these folks put 2 more smaller buildings on a piece of property that's already zoned commercial.
Okay.
Well, Jeff, I'll say to that, when we did the land use plan, why didn't you speak up and ask that we consider?
I didn't
Putting-
think we would
putting
have to
that
because
into-
it's already a
It's
piece of
not in it.
commercial
Why didn't
property.
we not do a detailed look and see if we should expand to
Well,
there?
at the
It was
next
not
meeting,
done- it was
Tom,
not
I'll
done,
bring it up because
And it wasn't done at the one
it's
prior to that.
already there. Because it's already there. That was settled 10 years ago.
But there was specific looks at and recommendations on where the downtown overlay, commercial overlay should be. And we ended up where we are.
And we sat here and talked about it and nobody said a word. Nobody from the, no resident or anybody came and said, hey, I'd like to extend this over
Well,
and make
speaking of
this here.
residents, I have gotten 0 emails
I,
on this.
I've
I've gotten
gotten-
0.
so
I've
to
gotten
both of
plenty.
your points, I happen to agree with everybody up here. You know, it is outside the commercial overlay, which is a problem. I have gotten, the only ones I've seen for it, and I've probably gotten 20 plus emails, are Nancy and you. I personally don't have a problem with it. I would do it because of there's nothing else to do with that land, to your point. The pedestrians, the traffic, 50 cars in and out throughout the day is not going to make a huge impact. The pedestrian thing does make a big difference. You know, but again, we did work on this for months and months and months. And I wish at that point that the overlay, you know, 13 years it's been since the first building. So why didn't we make it more user friendly to make it part of the commercial overlay so that this didn't even have to be a
But it
discussion?
was de facto, my point is it's de facto part of it anyway, because that was decided 10 years, in 2012 when it was approved. But
Well-
yes, we knew it was, the council
So-
then knew that it was outside of the downtown overlay. It was approved and
Right,
It
it's
was,
been
but it was
fine.
approved on
if
a
my
limited
job is
basis.
to represent the community and the residents, like your job and your job and your job, then it bothers me to go, you know, even though I personally might be for it, it bothers me to go for it when I'm representing what I'm hearing the community say. So what do you do then?
So let me get this straight. These people are on a piece of property that is zoned commercial.
But it's
They
outside
have
the
made a
commercial-
request, they have made a request to add on to that for specific commercial purposes, which are offices. It's not retail, it's not
Not
fast
today,
food, it's not.
right?
And again, but if that is part of the stipulation, if it changes from anything from office or medical, then they have to go through the process
I
again.
get
And
it, but-
If they told me it was gonna be McDonald's, I'd say no right now.
Right, but
But it's
you
office.
also have to agree that 10 years
But-
from now, if they're not
but-
able to lease it, everybody up here would say, yes, change it. And it
You
could
didn't-
be.
How do you know what's gonna happen in 10 years?
Nobody
Well,
knows.
Then how can you
But-
say in 10 years from now, everybody's gonna go change it?
It's a slippery slope and you can easily change things.
have
I
had-
agree with you, Jeff.
I've
I
lived in this
agree
town
with
30 years.
90%.
I've heard the slippery slope argument for 30 years. Every time something comes up that is, that's the least bit out of, that requires the least amount of discretion, people just say, oh my gosh, you're gonna open the floodgates, you're gonna, I was told that when we decided to put that, approved to put the water tower down there behind the fire department, that property across the street was gonna turn into a strip mall. I was guaranteed that because nobody was gonna build a house within sight of it. And now you've got $1 million homes being built within sight of it. So that's what's frustrating to me. I hope that everybody understands that. I've heard this drum call of awful, terrible things that are gonna happen, and they haven't happened.
I just wish in January, when we spent months on commercial overlay, that we just would have included it. I mean, is it like, we just,
Well, it's even not even that,
It
totally.
was discussed heavily and overall the overlay was discussed. And there
it
was
really was.
a lot of public input on what the overlay should be. And it stayed the way it was.
Right.
There was options to do that and there was no support for it.
Correct. Not only that, there's even questions from our planner about the 10% open space. and he wasn't even quite sure about where's the open space. And so I look at the sketch plan and I see two repair fields one above the left building and one below that, the building on the left. Then I see the septic field the existing septic field up there next to the existing building. So
Bunch of parking lots.
yeah, which has got a parking lot on top of it. So my question is, where are the, non-repair fields? Where are the fields for the two buildings as they would sit? If you're going to have the two repair fields over there. So I don't see that as complete. So the question was, are they accounting for that being the septic fields being the open space? I don't know if our UDO allows for that.
I would just say that it is compliant with the UDO. The floor area ratio, tells you what is the building and some of the parking versus the common areas or the open space. You can have ponds in the common open space, and there's clearly more than 10% present. The issue was more that the applicant didn't explicitly state, in the diagram where those areas are.
So then would you say it's incomplete to a degree?
It is gone through staff review and the planning board, so it is complete.
But I don't see a NOI. I don't see any retention pond detailed information. So I don't see anything from the health department unless I just sort of missed it. I mean, let me know.
You would see drawings of septic.
I see drawings, but I don't see, anything, from letters from Union County stating, it's going to be this type of septic versus that. I see drawings, but I can go get drawings myself. So my question is, I just see it as incomplete. How can we say okay on something we don't know totally what it is? Does that make sense?
It does. That's, your, feelings of wanting more detail are valid. You want to know what you're voting on. But it is the planner and the zoning administrator's responsibility to determine completeness. And if you disagree with that, that's fine. But I've made my determination, and I would hope you trust staff.
No, and that's good, and I trust your judgment. But I think as council, we would like to see more detail. Not picking on just this. This would be for any project in the future. We would like to have all the detailed information, and I think we stated that, in emails and whatnot in the past. Where's the NOI? Where's where's this and that? Stormwater retention detail information from the county. And so I feel like I've gotten pushback on that, requiring that kind of information, which I think the county even requires that before, they don't just do a blank check and say, hey, do what you want. So I feel like, we're really incomplete in a lot of it. Even the question, nobody said where the septic fields are. I see repair fields, but I don't see septic fields on this.
There's one.
There's just one. Does all three of them share that one septic field up top and pump up to it? So I see nobody can answer that.
But I believe they've brought somebody who could answer that if you'd be willing to talk to them.
Sure. Yeah, sure. Thank you. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, of course. So I'm Skylar, and I did specifically the stormwater. So I can speak to the stormwater as far as the septic goes from looking at it. Yes, there was a septic designer that you had on board. It was not me, so I cannot speak to that. But if you have any questions about stormwater, if you want to know the ins and outs of how it works, if you want to know the details, I can fully tell them to you. But in my opinion, if I, as a property owner, was working on getting basically the use of this, I wouldn't be as concerned about the details of this if there's a chance that it doesn't necessarily go through, right? Like, do you invest all this money in a professional like myself to fully detail all of the things that happened during the construction document review by the planners? Do you do that before you even know if you have the green light to develop? So I can provide an opinion on, yes, their property fully meets what is required of their property for stormwater in the studies that I have done. If this goes through, that gets more in depth. So I can provide any answers to questions that you have, but I just wanted to.
The simple
state that.
question is the existing pond adequate or upgradable to be a
Yes.
100-year facility?
Yes, sir. It is.
Is that stated here in our
It is. It's shown. Yes. So I wrote a letter that shows exactly what needs to be done, stamped by me, sealed by me. I work for TPR Design. And the details of that, if you would like it, is to construct a 2-foot wall and raise the embankment of the pond. It does not cause any issues with any surrounding buildings. It never leaves the pond itself. So all of the 100-year storm is detained within that facility. So when it was originally designed, it was over-designed for what was there. And as you've heard from downstream property owners, they've never had an issue with flooding. So that further goes to that point.
Okay.
Speaking to the others, since you couldn't, we've had, there's drawings galore. If anybody at this table wants to debate that they're incorrect, we're wide open to listen to that. For the septic field, you said, why don't we go get permits? It's hard to go get permits on something that we're not approved for. That's kind of silly to go down and say, you got to get the stormwater retention upgraded, approved, when we don't know if we're going to be entitled to get it. So she's done all the calculations. The septic field people have done all the calculations. They said this will work. And no, they don't have a permit, because why would they go get a permit for something they may not need? So
Where's your septic fields at then? I don't,
This is up next to the big building.
I don't see them.
this was all in the package.
Yeah, I'm looking at your packet.
I mean, this is, they spent a lot. This is a very expensive.
Well, I mean, this says what you're proposing, but not the location. I have this myself.
I've looked at it in terms of stormwater when we were trying to figure out where we needed to do an additional basin or if we were going to upgrade the existing one. I know it's on there, so.
The septic field is showing next to the existing building.
And once again, no more than anybody at this table. I'm not an expert in
Yeah.
septics, but we hired the expert.
So my thing is, we have one septic field here that's next to the existing building, but these two here are called repair fields. So
Right.
where are the septic fields for these two buildings here?
They're repairing the existing fields that are there currently.
What now?
They're repairing the existing fields, so it's called a repair area.
So where's the primary fields then?
They're the 3 of them that are shown on that.
So there's no repair fields. They're your primary fields, correct?
Or is it all being pumped to the existing one,
No, so everything
and the other two are repairs for future?
everything's draining from up to down, up to down. So for that top building, it's going to the left
Correct.
into that repair area. The other 2 are getting to that other repair area.
That's okay. So that's your primary and repair. Aren't you supposed to have a repair field for your? Am I wrong?
None of us are septic
I'm not
experts.
an engineer. The town of Weddington is not the review agency for septic fields.
So my question is then, how can we move forward on something we don't even have answers to tonight?
It's
Let me
a
ask you this
zoning
question.
matter.
If this were to be approved and the county determined the septic system to be inadequate or inoperable
They
or
could
in any
not
way
build.
unfit, would they be able to build?
No, it needs
No, they would
their
not.
authority.
So the town does not approve septic systems.
And you're correct.
If the county says it won't work, they won't let them build it.
But I think the town should know what we're approving, and we don't know at this point. And so we can go around the bush
What-
here,
if-
but
if-
but we
if
don't
the
know what we've
county
got
is the
here.
Final approval authority, and the county says whatever they wind up doing, if it gets approved, will work. Will you still want to go back and critique what if the county approves the system that they're proposing?
I'm just telling you, I see discrepancies. I just see discrepancies with even what our planner says here, even in what he wrote right here, I'm going to go back. We have an unsafe pedestrian access. We have discrepancies in our land use. We're not totally sure about the 10% open space. And this is all not me. This is our planner.
Did the planning board review all of this same material?
No.
The material that you have right there, the
I
planning
know
board
they
did not have
reviewed it.
available to them when they made their vote to approve.
I was here, but I don't know what degree they
Has,
did.
has our town, so the planning board voted to approve it with conditions. Our town planner has reviewed it, and town staff is forwarding it with a favorable recommendation. And they're the ones that produced that material that you're looking at. And so, and again, specifically talking about septic, which the town does not approve or disapprove. We've just been told that if they propose something that is inoperable, unsafe, won't work, the county will not approve it and they cannot build.
Right.
The town still wants to know about the septic system.
I'm pointing out one area. We just talked about land use plan. That's another area. It's not just
And
like
that's the
one
downtown
area.
overlay, correct?
Right.
Okay,
It's in our land use
10
plan.
years
And we
ago,
talked extensively
yes.
about that.
Yes, we have. We've talked extensively.
Right.
And again, it's been there for 10 years. We're not talking about a new piece of property outside the existing downtown overlay. This was approved when the downtown overlay existed as it is now, is my point.
So
It's
let me ask
not-
you
We
this.
don't have to, if
You were on the council back then, correct?
I was on the planning board at that
I'm
time.
planning board, okay.
Yes.
Why didn't the council approve the 3 buildings? Because I understand they came before and wanted those 3 buildings approved back
They-
then. And the council said, no, we'll give you 1 because of the old house. And I get
Honestly,
that.
I don't know, but if we need to get that answer, we might have somebody here that can answer it. But I do know that it did go from 2 to 1. Now, whether that was the Polificus decision, I just know when it went through the planning board and went to council, you know, that it was approved. The
Right,
plan that
because-
they had done was
Because
approved.
they saw fit and I agree with you.
And at the
That
same
old
time,
house over there, and it was
At the
nice.
same time, it was said that in the future, if you want to do more than you're doing right now, you simply go through the same process again to get those 2 additions approved, which is what they're doing right now,
Right.
which is what we told them 13 years ago.
Mm-hmm. And how does that change the fact of, somebody should have spoken up before now? How does that change the fact of there's discrepancies? How does that change the fact of, all the stuff we've talked about? We're going in a circle here.
That's what I'm saying, because everybody since the time it was approved understood that that was a conditional zoning outside of the current footprint as it was stated. And that's the way it's been operating the last 13 years. So I know what's coming. Let's just go ahead and keep it.
Well,
I have no further questions.
all right. You have any questions or comments further?
I mean, I don't know. If this is, the only thing that is keeping this from being built is that it's outside the commercial overlay. Is this correct?
Well,
That's what I'm hearing. That is the main, that is the,
I mean,
that is
that's
the
the-
line in the sand. That's
there's
the
other
Rubicon.
discrepancies as well that we seem to be ignoring as
But no,
well.
but the big one that I'm hearing is it's outside of the
Well,
downtown
that's-
overlay.
What are the
That's-
ones that haven't been disputed, Jim? Because I'm not clear anymore. Because the setback has been disputed, the height has been disputed, pedestrians are an issue,
Correct.
traffic.
Traffic, we're
Is
not sure about the
negligible.
open space.
Well-
We're not sure about the septic. There's a lot of things we're not sure about.
But the
And so,
septic and the sewer is county determined.
right,
And what else?
of the type. But I think we should at least know the town shouldn't pass something we don't even know what it is or what's going on.
I'm not as worried about the septic on this. Either they can or can't do it with what
Yeah.
they got. If they don't have the room or space, the county's not gonna let them go. I think there's other issues that this should rest on than septic.
Okay.
I wouldn't fight on septic.
Okay.
So in terms of the open space, and this is not to do with stormwater, this is just my opinion as someone who submits plans like these to planning boards, works with planning boards on a daily basis. There is well over 10% showing. I mean, they've got a whole new entry plaza that is in front of the existing building, which would be considered open space. The existing retention pond that will be revised is considered open space. They have green area to the right.
I thought you said that retention pond is not open space.
There's,
to be clear.
it far exceeds the 10% requirement in
I
open
didn't say
space.
that. I just wanted to clarify.
Right.
Is
My
the
bad.
pond
So it's
open
different
space
for-
or not?
for jurisdictions. So if you exclude the retention from it completely, there is still 10%. So that even between buildings, the tan color is the sidewalks all around. They've got an entire open space next to the existing two-story office building. If you want to ignore the septic fields and repair areas, which in my opinion appear as grass when they are complete, from that you would still have the 10%. Just from looking at it without even running any areas, you have the well over 10% that is required. So 17, and does that exclude the retention pond? So you could say maybe 13, 14% they would be if you remove the pond out of their calculation.
So I know you're real big on, throwing out the land use plan. I'm just going to say it because, just ignore it. We state something in land use plan and you just want to, it's like, okay.
Well, the land use plan, Mr. Mayor, is not an ordinance. It is a guideline, and it does allow for discretion. And that's what I've said for years, both on the planning board and in here. All I'm saying is these folks played by the rules back in 2012 when they asked this town to let them build that office building over there. They were told at the time that if they wanted to add those two buildings that they didn't originally get approved, they could come back and do it, which is what they've done. Now, this splitting hairs about, well, yeah, it's across the road. And we all known about it for the last 13 years, but nobody stood up and said we need to redraw the line. If that's what everybody wants to hang their hat on, then you've certainly got that right to do it. But to me, that is a very thin, my words are escaping me here, but if, like I said, everything that the planning board has asked them to do, they've done. The planning board approved this favorably. Our town staff has approved it favorably. And everything I'm hearing up here from the traffic safety to the pedestrian was I promise you, was discussed when this initial proposal came in. And we've had 13 years of experience with that big office building over there.
Well, there's no pedestrians, so they can't be.
But what I'm saying is the same things were being said. Well, you're going to have people crossing the street. Well, you're going to have people, the speeders on Providence Road. There's going to be accidents. The last 13 years, none of the predictions that I'm hearing again tonight have come true. Now, I understand what your points are. Yes, the land use plan says this, but it also allows for discretion. And based on what these people have been doing for the last 13 years, that's where I think that they should be given the benefit of consideration.
So really, I'm just going to, we're just going to go round and round because,
Yeah, like I said,
The best
I
thing to
understand
do,
what's happening.
Jeff, honestly, is make a motion to approve it because we have to have an affirmative motion to get on the board.
Well, then I will make a motion that we approve the application from Perry South to add the two additional buildings onto their property, having been approved by the planning board and given a favorable recommendation or recommendation for approval from town staff. So I'm not sure if there's anything else I need
With
to.
recommendations
with
of
the
staff.
recommendations included both from the planning board
Mhm.
and from town staff.
Okay, you've made
That's
a
a motion.
made a motion. Do I hear anybody in favor of that motion? Okay, we have one.
I'm on the fence, Jim, and here's why I'm on the fence, because it comes down to what the people that have emailed me want versus what should be allowed. I'm 100%, like, there were some miswordings that I cringed on, like, on my opinion, but I mean, Jeff is right. There's nothing else that'll be built over there. The only thing keeping this from going is the commercial overlay. So,
And there's nothing to say too, that when we redo the land use plan, folks can't come back and say, hey, can you enter us into or put us in the overlay and expand the overlay? And by all means, that can be done. But right now, we're going against
But right now, we're in voting, not discussion. So we
Right.
should be voting and not discussing.
So do I have, I'm going to say this, do I have a
No,
motion?
she's got the motion.
the motion's on.
Now
I just
people
have to
have to
decide how I'm
vote yea or
voting.
nay.
Okay, so
Point of order, Mr. Mayor, did it get seconded?
You don't second.
We have no seconds. We're on modified Roberts.
So do I have I guess I would,
Again, if this doesn't pass, then what's the protocol?
They get to come back in a year.
so it's not like it's a never, it's, come back. Fill up some of these holes.
And I'll say this, I'm voting nay, and Darcy, it's up to you to what happens here.
I know, and that's
I'm
why
putting you on
I'm
the
trying to ask
spot.
these questions.
And that's why it's tough, Darcy.
That's why it's
You know,
tough.
it's
Listen,
tough.
I understood, and
You know.
I get it.
But
this
what I'm
is-
saying is, if the question is about the UDO, the land use plan, that's a guide. That is not
But the
ordinance.
question is the commercial overlay and expansion of it,
And that,
and
and it was
representing,
decided 13 years ago. I mean, it
and
was, you know.
representing the residents that have been communicating with me. And you can be irritated with that, but that's why,
Well,
like,
and
that's
just
what my
remember,
job
we've
is
got
too.
14, how many, we're closing.
But they didn't email me.
18,000, you know,
I mean, I can't control who emails me and who doesn't.
well,
They can come back in a
like I
year
said.
and reapply and fix the areas that are concerned that they've heard tonight.
Are there any emails that were asked?
I'm sorry, you can't.
No, yeah,
No, we're-
Darcy, ultimately, you get to toss the coin on this because we only have 3 people here. It's not going to be a tie, so Jim doesn't have.
I know, I'm aware.
Take whatever time you wish. But we are where we
I
are.
know we are where we are.
We can always come back. They can always come back.
No, we can't. And you can't abstain because that's not allowed under state law.
I know, I was like, why wasn't I sick tonight? And there's nothing, okay, all right, let's go, let's vote, let's do it.
We voted,
You have a
except for
motion?
you.
I voted in
Okay.
favor.
And what's your vote? Nay?
I didn't raise my hand.
Okay. So we have 1 for
No, ask for the nays.
and 2.
Ask for the
Ask
nays.
for the nays.
Okay, how many nays do we have? 2. 2 nays, 1 for. Motion fails.
Fails.
Okay. All right, just for the record, is, other things were mentioned but the requested plan is inconsistent with the town's comprehensive plan, which restricts commercial development to the downtown center overlay district and further limits commercial use to small-scale retail and service businesses that serve the citizens of Weddington. There are other areas that we've mentioned for the fail tonight, and I asked that this be addressed in the future, and I asked that the staff and the staff know sort of what the council is looking for future developments. And so, our vote stands. Okay.
That was the motion of reasonableness
Sorry.
or whatever it was. Statement of
Yes.
inconsistency.
Thank you. Thank you for coming. Okay. Thank you, council. Appreciate your vote and discussion on that. We're going to move on to
Cul-de-sacs.
cul-de-sacs is new business item C, text amendment to 2025-01 to the Town of Weddington's Unified Development Ordinance, Section D 917A. J is cul-de-sacs. I'm going to open this up to public hearing. And public hearing is open, and I think we have one, if I remember.
Mayor, what do we ask staff to present?
Okay, I will. Staff, Greg, can you present? Then we'll do the public hearing.
Yeah. Thank you, Mayor, members of council. So this is an amendment to our residential portion of the UDO. This applies to all residential development. Specifically, this is section D 917A, requirements for all residential development, and then subsection J, which addresses cul-de-sacs. The purpose of this text amendment was through analysis of our subcommittee, and with their assistance, they were able to look at our peer communities and what their standards were. So this was initiated by them with consultation from staff. The text amendment before you is the exact same as the text amendment proposed by the Planning Board subcommittee. It broadly changes the following. It shortens the length of cul-de-sacs that were previously 1,200 feet long for new development. Now that cul-de-sac length is shortened to 500 feet, which is again more comparable to our peer communities here in Union County. It requires a sign at the end of dead-end streets if they're to be expanded in the future, so that people don't think they're buying on a secluded road that will eventually have a thoroughfare. This occurred in a recent subdivision. Discusses designs for private streets, which staff has reiterated previously that we don't design streets because they're all adopted and maintained by the NCDOT. So we want to just discourage designing the state's roads, but this does address designing private streets if they were proposed by a developer. And those are the changes that are on your screen today. This received a favorable recommendation by the Planning Board at their meeting.
Okay, so I'm going to open this up for public comment. So Chad, come on up.
Chad Emerine, Arrow Plantation. I just wanted to say that I support this cul-de-sac update, that as staff mentioned, that it was our 1,200 feet was out of line with neighboring towns. And I think this makes much more sense. It'll make the neighborhoods look better, and it'll also be a safety issue as well by having shorter cul-de-sacs. We've seen from recent events how important safety is, and this is something that I think would help the town of Weddington. It requires a little more creativity from developers, but I think residents would appreciate the design and the value by having shorter cul-de-sacs and less of that design. And with the conditional zoning process, if it's a really unique piece of land of where they can't comply with the 500 feet, there's always the opportunity to present that through conditional zoning. Thank you.
I'm going to open up the comments on this. You guys can go. We talked a little bit earlier. We have a couple of ways to go here. We can approve, and if we want to approve this, or we can table this. And the reason I say this is the original idea I had when going to the subcommittee and to the planning board and through the staff was not only look at cul-de-sac lengths, but also look at street widths. Now we don't govern anything just DOT. Now I'm just strictly talking, private gated communities, private streets, that kind of thing. The original idea, I talked with Chief McClendon, and his biggest concern really wasn't as much as the cul-de-sac lengths. It was the width of the streets. There was three big concerns he had. It was the width of the streets. He said, we'll get a call, and there'll be, and then literally he gave birthday party, Super Bowl, that kind of thing as examples. You go into a neighborhood, the street's too narrow. He said, I have nothing against trees. I love trees. But the trees have grown up in these older subdivisions. Now the limbs are hanging out over the streets. Now you're trying to get a ladder truck down through there. The street's too narrow. There's people parked on the streets. He said, it is just almost impossible to do that. If you do get down there, then you've got a bulb that's so small you can't turn it around. Then a lot of them have the raised gutter curbing there, and you can't back the ladder truck or the truck up onto the curb to get it turned around. He said it was just it's a tough situation. So there's three areas I feel like we missed in this, and again we can discuss this, approve this if you guys wish to approve, or we can hold on and do all this at one time after we discuss. I did some research on width of trucks. A fire truck can be as much as 10 feet wide when you're counting the mirrors and the lights and all that, 10 feet wide. A typical sedan here, the latest generation of Honda Accord is over 6 feet wide. Some of the pickup trucks are like just under 7 feet wide. So you got an F-150 that's 6.7. You got a Dodge Ram that's almost 7, and a GMC Sierra that's almost 7 feet wide. Then you got an ambulance, 8.5 feet wide. School bus, 8. So I went down to Highgate. Going to Highgate, I measure some of the streets because they seem a little narrow. 15.5 to 16 feet wide from asphalt to asphalt. When I went in, there was cars parked all the way down on this close. Love the close. Neighborhood looks awesome. But I felt like, I had in my truck to slide through there because you got the raised gutter on one side and you got people parked on the other side and there's mailboxes. So you have to like, okay, I don't scrape them and I don't hit the curb. Can you imagine taking an ambulance down through there? Can you imagine taking a fire truck down through there? To me, these are safety issues. So I would like for the council to discuss this, give you some options, whether send it back to the subcommittee, to the staff planning board, that kind of thing, so to get their recommendations. Or like I said, we do it all at one time, or we do this tonight and do that as a separate and amend it again.
Well, I think the most important thing is, as you've mentioned, and I know we kind of discussed this offline with earlier, is we need to be talking to the fire department, and the folks driving ambulances and things like that, and make sure that their numbers are the ones that we're going to try to incorporate that not only allow the width of the road, but at least at the end of that cul-de-sac, room for those trucks to turn around and maneuver.
Okay.
And whether that's, we're happy with it the way it's written tonight, or whether we need to send it back to staff and make sure that language is not just accurate, but legally accurate and enforceable, then, I'm good with it either way. I think that it's shortening them and then making them more accommodating to emergency response vehicles, whether that's fire, medic, police, whoever it may be, is those are the numbers we need to look at.
I'll say this, DOT requires a 20-foot asphalt edge to edge, which we, in our private roads, should match what DOT is. I think that's just a straight given.
That's a requirement. Yes, sir.
Yeah. But I looked up, did some research, the International Fire Code and the National Fire Protection Association, their recommended cul-de-sac diameter to allow equipment to turn is 96 feet. That's what it takes to turn around, to get a fire truck around a cul-de-sac. And that doesn't mean somebody's trash cans are out or their car is parked on there.
Right.
And this idea of 60 and 70 feet is woefully inadequate, because at the same time, you want to be able to have your school buses go to the end of the street, and not like in my neighborhood, they have to stop at the last cross street, do a 3-point turn and come back out.
Well, that's what I was mentioning to y'all earlier. I mean, I live at the end of the cul-de-sac, and the school bus has to do a 3-point turn once it gets around, because it's not even wide.
Most of them won't go
for a school
down there.
bus.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
so yeah,
most
we
kids
need
have
to,
walk.
we need to get those numbers now. If that's, again, if that's something where we need to send this back to staff and direct them to do some more digging and get some more, versus the 90 feet to whatever Chief McClendon or the local folks say is appropriate, that I'm good with that.
I just look at what the National Association and the International Code recommends is 96 feet diameter.
Okay.
And that's what, and there was also some kind of math in there to figure out what it is based on the length of the vehicle,
All right.
to the wheelbase to make the turn. But their average, their standard they want is 96 feet.
Yeah. I mean,
And I think that's just a general good guideline. If-
yeah. No, and you're right. I mean, you have the average vehicle 6 feet or wider. You have a emergency vehicle. Yeah, just think about it. That's 17 feet. They're butted right up to each other. So now you've got a road that's down here 15 to 16 feet wide, and one side there's hard curb. It doesn't take much to know that doesn't work.
Having the soft curbs, I think, especially in those cul-de-sac or even close areas where you're having to make turns, would be very conducive to having vehicle turnarounds.
And I would suggest too, even on these streets, to do the sloped curb, not that hard
The
edge
soft
curb, the
curb.
soft curb,
Soft
whatever you want to call it. And so I would say, let's look at three things: curbing, the width, and the bulb diameter. Now I know in this, we're suggesting, and this is something that we can talk about either tonight or next time, however you guys want to do this, the wording on eliminating cul-de-sacs altogether. So, so that's something, we need to discuss that as
I
well.
would say this, I think cul-de-sacs as they're currently being used should be highly discouraged. I'm not saying outlawed, but discouraged. And if they want to do it, the town should specifically approve it and not be, here's what we're going to do. I think this idea of using closes at the end of the roads to get around, one is aesthetically a lot better. And I think we could make better use,
Well, I would
Looking
almost
at those.
suggest that, I know staff's been taking notes on these comments, that we send it back and have them
tweak it up.
tweak it to those numbers. Again, reach out to, as you have, Mayor, to Chief McClendon, and, really see what, if any other municipalities have got numbers that we can compare to.
Right.
What are we currently being built that they're happy, that they're good with, that
Well,
kind of thing.
and I'll say this, Marvin reached out to Chief McClendon a while back and asked him to come up with some numbers.
Okay.
And I've asked him a couple of times, and I guess he's just, either gotten busy or lost those. I would suggest sending it back to the subcommittee, let them do a little research on it, work with Greg and our staff, then over to the planning board. So if I could get
Bring
the
us
sub,
one final piece.
the subcommittee to do that and come back and do it all as one piece. Would that
Yes.
work for you guys?
Is that covering private roads and cul-de-sacs both?
Yes.
Want to make sure we're talking.
Well, it's private roads and cul-de-sacs. It's everything. It's not
State.
state-owned
State-owned.
DOT because we don't have any control over it.
Right. If you need a motion, I can make one.
Okay, can we get a motion?
I'd like to make a motion that we send the proposal for cul-de-sacs and private roads back to the working group to work with town staff
The
on
subcommittee, correct?
subcommittee to work on appropriate language, covering length, width, and emergency response vehicle requirements, the things that we've discussed.
Yeah,
this evening.
which will be the width,
Curbing, width,
curbing,
Yes.
and the bulb diameter.
yes, bulb diameter.
And or close.
Correct. Okay.
I mean, you got to make sure a close is designed properly to get a vehicle turned through it too. They could be too tight. So you have to be careful with looking at that. Yeah, if you go kind of long and skinny, you got a hard turn at the end, you may not get one around. So you got to have proper
Yeah,
turning clearance.
I went through Highgate, like I said, and I would be surprised if an emergency vehicle doesn't have to drive up in the grass or something to get around those houses. And we have some nice large homes in Weddington, and we want to protect it.
So we got the motion. Have we voted on it?
Not yet. So can I get a
We got a motion.
motion? All in favor?
Uh,
Okay, it's unanimous. So we'll send this back to the subcommittee, work with Greg, and over to the planning board. Then back to us. Okay. Can I look at your agenda for a second? Okay. All right.
See, we're on.
Yeah,
Council
yeah,
retreat.
So item C, the scheduling of the council retreat and workshop. I'm gonna mention this. The planning board had a great idea, which I had been feeling this as well. And I think you, Jeff, you and I talked about this, to be able to pull the planning board and the council together and have some unity, have some kumbaya time, and let's, try to, come together. And I would like to suggest, and I want to throw it out to you guys, have a retreat after the point of whoever it would be, our two new planning board members, and invite the planning board to join the council at the retreat. Maybe come, have lunch with us that day, then spend the rest of the afternoon with us.
I think that's what would, in my opinion, would give us like the council morning session.
Yes.
After, have them come have lunch in the afternoon.
Yeah.
We all meet together and have the.
And
group meeting.
this is not a back and forth. This would be, let's work together and
Presentations from Greg and everything.
and they can get a feel of what we are thinking and how we think and what our desires are for the town, and we can hear what they're thinking as well. Does that sound logical to you guys?
Yep.
Okay. Can I get do I need a motion for that, I guess?
And what
Well,
month
you
do we-
got to look at
I
when
would-
that
I
would
need to
be.
talk about dates.
Yeah, that's the question, is when that would be.
Well,
You said after.
it would be
March?
after February the 24th, I think. Didn't you say that's the last planning board meeting?
The last meeting for the current.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
What day of the week are we looking at?
So are we going to say March then? Is sometime in March?
would that work for you guys?
Staff, will that work?
Okay, March, sometime in March.
Any dates that y'all have looked at?
What day of the
Karen,
week is best, or when is the place available?
Where are you looking?
I don't know yet.
You don't know yet. Okay.
It depends on what day you want.
March 10 is the town council meeting, as I see it.
Historically, we've done it on Fridays, just because.
I like a Friday,
easy.
so we
Yeah,
not.
Fridays are usually good.
Yeah, I'd like to do it. Does that work for you guys, a Friday?
Yeah, Friday.
Is it going to be the Friday after the town council meeting?
Whatever you want.
Yeah, well,
Let's say the Friday before, which is the end of February, I will be out of state.
Well, now, normally we meet over there at the
Rolling Hills?
Rolling Hills.
could we,
And I tell you what, I don't know if we direct staff to check on the Fridays, the first two Fridays in March, the availability of Rolling Hills, and then staff can send that out to us and we can give our first choice, second choice, and then we'll get it.
We use
I
Leslie's-
can't do the first two Fridays in March. And it's like, if everybody else can, that's fine.
No,
I'll
we
get
need-
off
We
this
need
week.
you there. Is it just Fridays in general? You're
Fridays are for March.
is
I'm
it
out of
travel?
town. Yeah.
Yeah.
The last Friday in,
So every Friday in March would be a
Bad.
sort of
correct, for me.
Okay, we
But
need-
again,
what about
do what y'all want.
Thursdays? What about Thursdays?
I can probably make, if I'm in town, I'll make it work. The last Friday in March, I can make it work. And the last Friday in February, I can make work.
Yeah, I can't make that one work.
And otherwise, just give me days and if I don't know.
Are any
This is-
days better for you in general? Friday
I mean, it
sounds
just
bad.
depends if we're in or out of town. Most of the time,
I don't know if you're in town certain days typically or not.
it depends on when the meets are. I don't know. Typically, it'll be. You want me to look after March 10th? Is that what we're focusing on?
And maybe look at Thursdays or Fridays, is that what you?
Thursday,
And I'll see what's available.
March 20th is fine. The 13th, I'm out. The 6th, I'm out. We just have a lot of,
I tell you what,
Sports stuff
would it
coming
be
up.
easier, because I know, I mean, I can work my schedule around, that far out. I think I can work it. If you, Darcy, could get with Karen and basically give her a list of dates in March that kind of work for you,
sure,
and then we can work it back from that direction.
yeah.
Because if,
Scott and I are just
we'll need to work
never,
around your schedule, so.
yeah.
Yeah,
so
I can meet
we
with
do
you
that.
after real quick if you want.
okay,
Sounds good.
all right, okay, good.
And then direct staff to at least get the word out to the planning board that whenever we do pick that date, we would like for them.
Yeah,
whoever
and
can-
yeah, and I've been talking to Karen Dooley about that. And so we'll invite them to lunch with us and spend the rest of the day. Okay. So are we good on this, guys?
Yep.
All right, let's move on to code enforcement.
It's in your packets. We are working diligently. Getting things up to code. We have a meeting, I think. I don't know if it's been scheduled yet. We have a couple meetings with some of the violators.
I'll just say that Matt is our new code guy. He's much more active. He follows up. We are keeping better documents. Staff is pleased with, how enforceable we've been, with tracking projects and even communicating with those people and tell them this is your final warning.
Gotcha. Okay,
So making progress is what we're hearing.
Yes, sir.
okay, great. Anything else? Okay, great. Okay, update on, from Leslie, our finance and tax collector.
Tell us we're rolling the dough.
Yeah.
Right? Taxes are being paid. Taxes are being paid.
Yes.
We're cash rich right now. And to add to being cash rich, we got word that, I don't remember if we spoke about this last month or not, that the DOT is going to return our Tilly Morris roundabout funding contribution, because apparently they had one money to make.
Wow.
Wait. say
Wait,
that
wait,
again.
wait.
Say that
We're
again.
gonna get $208,000 back.
Wow.
That is
That's
awesome.
Yes, isn't it?
That's my line.
So, I will be bringing, when that comes in, a budget
Because I
amendment.
thought they hit
because
us
we
up
have
for
to
extra
They
somewhere.
figure out what to
did.
do with it.
Okay,
So, and in line with the budget, since we're not going to do a February retreat, I'll give you a pass at the February council meeting as far as the initial general budget, and then we'll incorporate it into the council meetings, the retreat, and if we need to have a special budget session, we can schedule that
okay,
in the future. But we'll start working on it next month. So if you have anything you want to let me know.
okay. Anything else?
That's it.
You're good? Awesome. All right.
No, we're not going to discuss the flock cameras, but the potential of that.
Not this
maybe
month.
At least kind of make it aware, I think, that we're going to have a discussion
Yeah,
in the future.
I'm talking with the sheriff's department about adding some cameras around town. And so, so that's something you and I, we will all discuss. I'd like to bring it up in February. I'm still waiting for a response from the Sheriff's Department. Okay, so updates from town planner and town administrator.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll start. So because we have our queue, so to speak, of one development item per agenda, we've reformatted this just to give an understanding of where things are in progression, but not promising anybody a timeline or promising anyone a meeting. 3 items that are through the planning board and are arranged to be voted upon by this town council are the project known as Elysian. That's on Deal Road. That's its advertising, its branding name. It's just 12 lots. Just to comment on it, Mayor, you've expressed that we want sewer and septic information in a detailed manner before going to this body, and that's been the holdup. So they went to the planning board many months ago, but until they get more detailed information, they have declined to actually come before y'all. So that's still in the queue, but that's the reason for the delay. Windsor Farms is the new branding of the Classica Hemby project that has gone through the planning board. This is a conservation subdivision that has greater than 50% of open space. This is near the water tower. That's 27 lots. That went through the planning board with not a lot of fuss. And then, of course, there was Deal Lake, which was voted upon in December. That's the Toll Brothers development on 84. That is now 62 lots that has been recommended by the planning board, but would go to you guys here shortly. In terms of rankings or order, Deal Lake would probably come last, so you won't see that for several months. Pending planning board is the Rama Center, the Empire Community Site at the former Weddington Green location. They've been fairly quiet, but that is still an active application. Ray and Providence, there has been very little motion on that. The issue was we were waiting sewer documentation, actually obtaining a sewer easement. At this point, I'm not certain that it will progress in the way designed. It may be sold or transferred. And then a project on Ennis Road, which is a small subdivision that had community meetings last year. That has changed developers, but is roughly the same layout. And that should go to the planning board here shortly in the next 2 months. We have received the formal application for that subdivision.
Okay. Quick question. You said Deal Road or Deal Lake. It'll be a couple months. We're not expecting it next month or anything like that, right? It's going to be a little while.
No, sir. Chronologically, they were the last to be approved by the planning board. Therefore, they're last in line.
Okay. So it could be several months.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Great. All right. Anything else?
No.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Transportation report. I will mention this. I have been in contact with the HOA at Brookhaven. We approved, we paid for, I say approved, we paid for the light there to go at Antioch and Forest Lawn. There's sort of a hang up with this. And of course, I've been copying you, Greg, trying to keep you in the loop of what's going on. There's an easement issue. So they have easement. There's 4 corners there. They only have easement on 1 corner. Well, they can do it with 3 poles. They've got a method they can do 3 poles instead of having 4 across that, that intersection. So even with a 3-pole method, they're going to need easement for 2 corners. And those 2 corners would be going into Brookhaven, the main entrance into the large part of Brookhaven on the other side over there. So they need easement permission over there. Well, what's going on is, and I've really been going in between setting up the HOA and their management company with DOT. And so all involved with DOT. So I've been connecting them together to get this moving because they had sort of stalled. And so the problem is now the way DOT's contracts are written, they want a title change to give them that easement. Mm-hmm. Well, to do that, the way Brookhaven's is set up, they would have to have 80% of all the residents to, come out and vote on it. Well, they'll never get that. So now they've reached back out and said, hey, is there another way? Can we just work out an easement, give you permission to have the easement and work on that? So as of last week, that's where it is. So I've been, connecting the two and working with DOT and the HOA to try to work out that easement issue.
So the right of way wasn't sufficient?
They didn't have right of way there.
How did they do that?
So I don't know how that happened either, but what they're going to do on the entrance of Brookhaven, they're going to put a pedestrian crosswalk right there with we push the button and the lights, gives the little arrow and you get a little walk sign and that kind of thing. It's going to be nice. And I asked the question, I said, would you ever do it across Forest Lawn or, well, it's Forest Lawn, it goes up through there. They said no, because at this point, there's no sidewalks. If sidewalks were ever added, then they would come back and add that to it. So at this point, no, not across Forest Lawn. So that's where that stands. So, and when they get the easement worked out, it was about 90 days, and they'll start seeing some movement and seeing things happen. So that's where that stands. And copying you on all that.
Yes, sir.
There was one other thing in my mind's blank. I've reached out to DOT concerning railroad extension. There was concern with Weddington Hills. The way Weddington Hills, the way railroad extension is going to come through, it's going to take off the front of their subdivision. There's those brick columns or the brick wall right there. One house is already gone, and the other house, according to DOT, that road's going to come within 10 feet of that house. And so, but DOT doesn't fall under their guidelines of, we need to bulldoze it or purchase it or anything like that. So their HOA has reached out to me trying to set up a meeting with DOT to see what, not what can be done, but what they're going to do as far as DOT. So I'm working on that now, trying to work that out. And DOT sometimes is slow to get things going. The great guys, it's a slow process. Yeah. So anyway, that's in the works there, trying to, figure that out. So that's all I have to say on that. Council comments. Anybody want to go first? Darcy.
Just thank you for input, research. We've got so many really smart, brilliant, capable people, and we can't do our jobs without y'all getting us information and helping. So I appreciate that, and thanks for coming out tonight.
Appreciate everybody coming out tonight and the folks watching on the screen. I guess I will emphasize what we talked about at the beginning, especially with Deputy Wren. If you've got a section of road that you would like for them to do a spot emphasis on as far as speeding or any other concerns, let them know. Because as we've seen, they do respond, they will react, and they'll get out there and do some enforcement on it. So please, if anybody's got sections that they want looked at, please get in contact with Deputy Wren.
Right. Correct.
Well, thank everybody for coming out. I hope everybody had a happy holidays. That was, we had one, so it's into the new year, and y'all just have a great rest of the week. Thank you.
Okay. And I want to say, just playing off what Jeff just said, as you guys know, this town, the staff, the council, we are serious about, the traffic, speeding, crime, all the things that goes along with that. So Deputy Wren, Sheriff's Department has been great in talks with them now about doing some things that I think will be a great asset. They've actually reached out to me about wanting to do these things. So anyway, we highly support those guys, and so if somebody were to say, you guys aren't serious about it, it's like, no, we are serious. So, and that's been on our radar, to use the term, for a long time. And so anyway, but thank you guys for coming out. Appreciate your hanging in there, and This meeting is adjourned. Have a motion.
I make a
Yes.
motion, we adjourn.
All in favor?
All right.
Unanimous? Now, we adjourn. Thank you, guys.